Hey, Soraya, happy 100th.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Lucky 100.
Yes, we made it to another milestone.
Yes. And we're still talking to one another. It's a good thing.
You still put up with me.
And you still put up with me. So I think we're good.
Yeah, so we're celebrating 100 episodes, and we're having somebody on our show today who I'm really happy to celebrate our 100th with, and he's doing some celebrating himself. Or we're celebrating him? I don't know, but there's
I
some.
think it's a little bit of both, but for those of you who are wondering, we will have on the one and only Steve Wynn.
Yes,
Yes,
our
of
good
Dream
buddy.
Syndicate and so many other projects. But more specifically, he is soon to release his box set Decade, and on October the 23rd.
Yes,
And but it was available is available
yes.
for pre-order, and which is really exciting. But I don't know, Jeff. Let's just get started.
Yes, I can't wait.
Woo. Hi, this is Soraya.
And this is Jeff,
Our podcast is called Paisley Stage Raspberry and Rhyme.
a podcast where the two of us play music that we like and share anecdotes and background about the tunes.
We hope you'll join our conversation. And without further ado, a gruviar.
Let's get groovy.
Hey there.
Hey,
Hey.
Steve Wynn, how are you doing this morning, this
Good,
afternoon?
good, good. This afternoon, very, very good. How you doing, Jeff and Soraya?
We're doing great, thanks.
We were just talking about the fact that this is our 100th episode, and we're so glad that you're celebrating with us.
That's great. My God, that's a quite an achievement. 100 episodes. That's great. And I am
Yeah.
happy to be the one.
And we're
Holy
happy
cow!
that, yeah, and you were one of our first guests, so
Yeah.
we're happy to have you back on.
Ah, this is great. 100. And how long? When was the first one?
So it was in late September, early October. So it's been about 2 years of 2018, and here we are in the wonderful year of 2020 with
Wonderful.
with all of its challenges. Yeah, so it's been just over 2 years. We've tried to do one a week, but we took a break for here and there. But
hmm
just passing 2 years. So
Congratulations.
thank you very much.
And I mean, what an amazing time for us to get together with you, Steve, to talk about this fantastic project, Decade, which we're dying to talk to you a little more about.
I'd love to talk about it. I'm very proud of it. I'm glad it's finally coming out after 2 years in the making. This is so. I'll talk about it till the cows come home.
Well, it's called Decade, so maybe we could talk for the next decade about it. How's
We'll do it in real time.
There you go.
What was I doing each moment of that decade? Okay. 4 p.m. this day, 20 years ago. I got a sandwich. It was good.
It was good. Well, I just got back from my mailbox, and Soraya and I both pre-ordered the box set, and
I saw that.
Soraya should be getting hers any moment now. Mine, I picked up at my mailbox 20 minutes ago, from the time that we're recording. Neither one of us have had a chance to dig into it. We also, as a podcast, ordered an extra set. So we will be giving an extra set away to one of our listeners today, and we're going to ask you to help us out with that later at the end of the show.
Great. Very cool. That's a great premium, a great Paisley premium.
Indeed, indeed. So we wanted to jump back a couple years ago when you said you started this. Who came up with this idea to put out this box set of this decade of your musical career?
Well, here's what happened. I somewhat, about a few years ago, came across a box that I had stashed away forever of like a lot of musicians, like a lot of music fans have, of various things, of cassettes and DATs and reel-to-reels were sitting around. And I had run into a friend of mine, Steve Rosenthal, and Steve ran the Magic Shop, the kind of famous studio in New York for a long time. It was his studio. That's the studio like where David Bowie made his last 2 albums, and Sonic Youth did a lot of stuff. And I worked on Sweetness and Light and Here Come the Miracles and Tick 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 there. It was a great studio that sadly went out of business, I don't know, a while back. Anyway, I ran into Steve on the street in Manhattan, and he told me his new gig was he had opened a studio where he's pretty much just converting people's collections of material, whether it was like, the Smithsonian or whether it was whatever, anything that was around. He just most recently at that point been given by Laurie Anderson all of Lou Reed's various cassettes and dats and reel-to-reels to transfer as well. So that's what he was doing, and I thought, oh, I would love to have you make sense of this, Tower of Babel, audio Tower of Babel I have here. And he said, sure. So, I brought it to him, and it took him about 6 months, and then I had all this stuff, and I was glad it was done, and it took time. It wasn't cheap to get it done, but it felt great to get done. And I was talking to Pat at some point, Pat Thomas, a friend of the show, and he said, well, that could make a really good box set. And he told me he was doing work with Real Gone Records in L.A., doing a lot of production and liner notes and things for them. And I said, well, I think this could be a really interesting box set. And I was really, I feel kind of happy. I try to be realistic and try to be objective about things. But I'm happy with most things I've done in my life. I've made a lot of records. I don't have any that I hate, and I like them all, different things in different periods. But this one chunk of time after I moved to New York City, and that was 1994, I kind of just caught fire. I really just had that thing everybody who's a writer or a musician or creative person dreams of, where I just was writing all the time and getting ideas all the time, and somehow was also touring all the time, and just so much. I think it was the adrenaline of the city, being in a new city, a new exciting city, and a lot of things changed were happening in my life, which we can get to, including starting to date Linda Pittman, who is now my wife and was my drummer back then. A lot of things were kind of firing me up at the time, and I just couldn't. I had a nice 10-year run. So this box set kind of is the emptying out the archives of that run and showing it not only the things that came out, but also all the works in progress, showing how the demos, the things that kind of were happening at the process of the year and how it all came down.
Wow.
And then once we had the idea, and Pat was very enthusiastic and very encouraging and got the green light from Real Gone, the next step was, okay, now we got to go through this stuff. And there was, I believe, 100 hours of tape of unreleased stuff. There's like so much. And, that's it's a lot to listen to. So what Pat and I did is I was going to be in L.A. This is about 2 years ago right now. I was out in L.A. for something else at the time. Maybe it was a show. I can't remember. But I was out there and said, look, I'm going to get a room at the Sportsman's Lodge out in Studio City, which I've always liked since I was a kid. I've always liked that place. And I said, I'm going to get a room there and just hole up, and we're going to spend 12 hours a day for 2 days and just go through these tapes. So he'd show up at 10 in the morning both days, and we had the laptop out there and started playing them. And pretty much, Pat, as you know well, has very strong opinions about things.
Yes,
and
he does.
I gave him even more than myself for the deciding, vote on everything. We'd put on something, and he'd say, great, or he'd say, nuke it, get rid of it. And we were saying it was like the Gong show. It was like he had the gong in his hand the whole time. So we hear something and say, we've heard 30 seconds and that's enough, or, hey, let's keep listening. And we went through the 100 hours in those 2 sessions, and made really great notes, and made sure these are the best ones. This is a grade A, B, so however we were grading it to figure it out. And that began, a long, arduous process that went on for the next couple of years.
Wow, that's crazy. So I guess we should mention that the box set includes your releases from 1995 to 2005, which include your albums Melting in the Dark, Sweetness and Light, My Midnight, Here Comes the Miracles, Static Transmission, Tick, 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 and then a collection of your e-music singles, as well as 57 unreleased tracks that 57 of I don't know how many 100 hours worth of tracks.
That's right.
Right. So there's all kinds of good stuff to dig into here.
57 unreleased tracks, and I think 31, rarities, things that were released but were, B-sides or a CD single. So even those are practically unreleased. So kind of 88 non-album tracks on the box set. I feel like I'm doing a late night infomercial. I'm being QVC here. If you order now, 88. But it is. It's got. You don't do an 11 CD box every day, like let's say like never, and it's a special thing. So we just kind of wanted to make it as filled to the brim with cool stuff as possible. But it is. You're right. It's all those albums, and that was it's. I can say I'd like to say that's everything from that period, and that should be enough. That's a lot there, all that stuff. But actually, I made 2 records in Spain as well that came out as at the time and were reissued, and that was at the same period as well, just adding to the whole thing. And those we decided not to include because it was its own beast, a whole separate kind of thing. But it was all that stuff, and it did start with Melting in the Dark, which I made really not long after I moved here with the band Come up in Boston. That kind of sort of simultaneous with, here I am living in New York, and and I really took the thing called the Peter Pan bus. I don't know if you know about that. So I'm sure there's equivalent. I'm sure the equivalent out there. Is that a national thing? I don't even know. Is that
I don't know, but now? I remember it from when I lived on the East Coast. So yeah, I know Peter Pan.
You do. The Peter Pan buses, which you can go from New York City from Chinatown, New York City to downtown Boston for $10. So I went back and forth to Boston a few times with my guitar, and I had all these new songs I'd been, as you can hear on the box set, because a lot of the bonus stuff came from the time around Melting in the Dark, and I had all these songs I was just writing like crazy then. A lot of them didn't even make the record, but I was sort of sending them over to Come, and we went and recorded them in a 4-day session. Now I knew those guys a little bit. I knew Talia Zedek, the singer of Come, from the first Dream Syndicate tour back in '83. She had a really great band called Dangerous Birds, really kind of more of a pop band than what she would eventually do. But they opened for us in Philadelphia, and I just thought they were great. I thought she was incredible, charismatic, and great singer. So we from that we became friends and stayed in and out of touch over the years that followed. Chris Brokaw from Come has a great story that he came to see the Dream Syndicate at CBGB's in '83 when he grew up in New York, and his story is he came to the show. He was I think 16 or 17. I was 23. Just starting to be out there touring, and he said he came backstage apparently, and young kid that he was, and said that was a great set. And I said, thanks, here's a whiskey. And hand them a whiskey, and that was our encounter until years later. So we had a little bit of history, but they put out a record in the early '90s called 1111, which I think came out in '92, and that was kind of bear in mind like the '80s was kind of a weird time, great time, and of course the foundation time of a lot of the stuff you do on your show. But it was a weird time as far as things being maybe a little overproduced, and indie rock was still kind of a new thing. But in the early '90s, the whole kind of, what do you want to call it, grunge or alternative or indie revolution was happening, and Nirvana was the head of that, and a lot of other bands were happening. But there were some exciting things happening. Come was the band I just really latched onto, maybe because I knew Talia a little bit, but also this is my kind of thing: 2 guitars, bass, and drums with guitar lines snaking around each other. And from that very earliest point, I thought I'd like to do a record with these guys. I want to kind of, because I had been doing Kerosene Man and Dazzling Display, which were more kind of produced pop records I like, but they were not that much in keeping with the Dream Syndicate thing. But I thought this is my kind of music. This threads back to Days of Wine and Roses and back past that to the Stooges and the Velvets. This is that lineage of that 2 guitar, bass, drum, magic combination. So I got in touch with them early on, and they said, yeah, we'd like to do that. And it took a while because I got sidetracked and did Fluorescent because I got into that. But anyway, we finally got together, and it was just a great experience. And it was kind of really the first time since breaking up the Dream Syndicate that was making what you could call Dream Syndicate music. Melting in the Dark was kind of in that sort of style, and I think it was, between the adrenaline of living in New York City and the excitement of it, all that, and that they added that kind of kickstart of sonic madness to the whole thing as well.
Oh man. I mean, I'm just.
I know
listening.
I'm kind of doing a monologue, and I should take a breath now.
No. But it gives us the perfect setting, because before we even took this call, Jeff and I were talking, and I said, Jeff, think about what has to have gone into the motivation for this project, and just kind of hearing you tell us about, the move to New York, what that spurred in you, and then this kind of reconnecting with people and seeking out new avenues. It's just really, it's so, I'm like, I don't have words. It's amazing. And
it was just exciting. I mean, look, I love LA forever. LA is my birthplace, and I've lived there for 34 years, and have so many great friends there and so many great memories there, and still love going back. But New York felt in a weird way like coming home. It just felt like it fit in with what I like. I love walking. I love being out with people. I like being in late night clubs. I like having the spontaneity of that you get here. Where I'm in this club in East Village, and there's another one 2 blocks away that something's going on. I'll just walk down there and see that show too, and that really connected with me. And at the time, I was, it's a funny thing. At that time, the most of what was happening in New York happened in East Village. It was down, the kind of clubs like at the time, the Mercury Lounge where I was playing, and then a few other places. And I lived at the time on the Upper West Side, up by Columbia University, and it's about, I'd say, 8 miles from the clubs where I live. And I would routinely go to East Village, see a couple shows, go to a bar, have a few drinks, and walk the full 8 miles home at 4 a.m, and then walk into my apartment as the sun was coming up and pass out. And that was kind of, and it was just because it was exciting. It fed into all the things you hear in the box. All these things I'm telling you about, that adrenaline, that meeting new people, meeting Eric Amble is a big part of this box. He was the leader of the band called the Del Lords, and also played in Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, and played with Steve Earle. And he also opened and ran the bar of our scene called the Lakeside Lounge, and that was like our clubhouse. Anyway, he and I became friends right when I moved here, and he was kind of my gateway to the city. He was telling me, Eric knows a lot of things. He's a great producer, so he would tell me, if I say, man, I'm thinking about buying a digital 8-track recorder. What should I get? And he's the kind of guy who will say, this, and this. You want to get this, and you want to use it that way, and call me, and I'll set it up for you. So he was kind of my audio geek guy, my nightlife guy, and also my co-writing guy. And I would go to his house, and we wrote some of the earlier songs in the set, Nothing But the Shell, and From a Better Place, and also we did a cover of The Air That I Breathe, all on here. So he is also part of this whole thing where I was like, yeah, this is exciting. And that kind of thing, it was just put me in a high gear, and I kept going. And also at that time, I was this is without getting too deep in the weeds of this kind of stuff, but I had just broken up with a girlfriend of like 10 years at the time, and I was I suddenly was used a lot of time just to crank out demos. I'd stay up till the wee hours and write songs till 4 a.m, and that was sort of all that that I don't know, the time, the energy, the sorting things out, the processing new cities, all that kind of was a good catalyst for writing.
See, Jeff, doesn't this sound like this is one big chapter of an autobiography?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
And the way you're describing it, Steve, it just seems like that. Like you're just giving us a glimpse into this moment of, just a lot of change, transition, but also it seems like just a huge adrenaline rush of new stuff. And, the productivity is just, it's insane. 88 unreleased tracks. I mean, what is that? I want to see that big box. I want to see that
I mean,
TNT box.
I want that to happen all the time. That's the thing. It's like, I think with, with for writers, it's like when that's happening, you just feel so lucky. You just try to go with it. It's a great feeling. And believe me, there have been other times before and after that decade where I'd go a year and think, I cannot get a song going. I'll be honest. This year, and we'll get into later, but this pandemic year has been really great for a lot of things. And luckily, I had a lot of things coming out this year, and I've been doing a lot of painting and overseeing these projects and doing live web shows. But I haven't been writing that much, and not that worried about it. But writing kind of comes in bunches, and there'll be times where you just want so badly. I think one common misconception people have about writers, songwriters, other kinds of writers, is that, well, if you're not coming up with stuff, or if your stuff is subpar, you're probably not trying hard enough. It's like, no, sometimes you're trying too hard. Sometimes you're so dead set on breaking the writer's block that you come up with stuff that's where that effort and that anxiety is felt in there. And the best writing for me has always come at times where it's happening so quickly I don't even think about it. And I can't think of any song in this entire box set that I labored over. They all just kind of, maybe I would have tweaked a lyric here and there, or gone back and changed the arrangement, or the band I was playing with might have had a suggestion for a chorus going here or there. But really, they were all written quickly and recorded quickly for the most part. And and what we said, Soraya, about autobiography is interesting, because I think this box set does kind of, in a way, I hear it and I look through it and I think, well, that's a big chunk of the pivotal part of my life, in a way that I don't with other records I've made. I think that records I've made since then that I like quite a bit, like the Crossing Dragon Bridge or the recent Dream Syndicate albums, are records I'm really proud of and feel were well crafted, but they're just sort of, things where I went to work and put the time in, and with the people I was working with, and we collaborated and had a good time together, and those came out of it. This feels like connecting, two eras of my life together. Yeah. The wild, unconscious days of my 20s and the more professional, this is kind of not the greatest word for it, but the more just kind of settled veteran days, recent years. This was kind of the middle part.
Wow. So this truly is a big chapter in your life. What's covered on this box set decade?
Sure. Yeah.
Wow.
And it really does. It's kind of like once you get past Tick 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 and that last trio of records with the Miracle 3, it felt like, okay, that part is done now. Not that I stopped or slowed down, but that was kind of the point where I started doing other things, made another Danny Dusty record, got into the baseball project, things like that. But that was the height of my whatever I did as a solo artist. That was kind of the where it was all happening. And it's funny because I haven't made a solo record in 10 years now. It's just been so long. And so to do this thing, it's kind of like, oh yeah, I used to be a solo artist. And it's kind of given me ideas like I'd like to go and do that again, because I just kind of abandoned that since the Dream Syndicate reformed, and since other things have been going on. And going back to this box set, like, oh yeah, that was what I was doing, to the exclusion of anything else.
Wow. I'm super excited about this box set, Steve, and I wanted to jump back a little bit to Real Gone, and you mentioned Pat Thomas was kind of the link there, and I'm really amazed that a record label like Real Gone Music at this point in history would jump into a box set, and do you know anything about those talks or those negotiations between Pat and the label and maybe yourself on how they agreed to do this?
Well, I'm sure Pat can tell you more about that, but they've never done anything like this. They're a great label, and I've gotten to know them, and also the guy who runs the label, Gordon, who's musician and music fan, but they've never done anything this extensive before. So I don't know how he sold it or what was involved. And I kind of, we're always, striking the death knell for different forms of music, whether it's like the CD is dead or this is dead or it's going to be all digital music, and who knows where things are going. But I don't know if there will be these kinds of box sets will exist forever. I'd like to think so, but who knows where that's going. And as we were working on it, and especially as everything happened this year, I kept thinking, oh my God, by the time this comes out, people will say people won't care about box sets anymore, care about CDs, which luckily isn't the case. But it's kind of it had to happen now. I mean, I don't think this could have happened maybe 5 years from now. So I'm glad and I'm very grateful that they got this thing done, and they did it so well too. It was kind of like, as we went along, little details like wanting, a lot of the 11 CDs, several of them are kind of like double albums. So sort of the My Midnight and Melting in the Dark and Well, Here Come the Miracles and Static Transmission are all kind of double albums between the original record and the bonus tracks. And I said, it'd be great if we could do them like little vinyl gatefold double albums. And they said, sure. I said, it'd be great if we could do, a really extensive book with lots of stuff. Sure. They were very, they didn't cut corners as some labels might do. And I remember the day my copy showed up, I guess now 3 weeks ago, and I had the fear of like, this is so geeky, but I think about this stuff. What's the paper stock going to be like? Because some paper can feel really cheap and very kind of you feel the ink rub off on your fingers, and they didn't do that. It was really good quality paper. So I gotta hats off to Real Gone for doing it right, for not because it's if you do something like this and you say, well, I can save 3 cents per box by making it 10% worse. Mm-hmm. That's not fair to people who are buying it. I think we want them, not only the fact that I may never have a box set like this again, so I want to do it right, but also, in any time, especially in these times, if people are going to pony up for something like that, you want to make it so they don't think, was this garbage you're foisting on me? You should have warned me. I want people to feel good when they get it.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that because, like I was telling you when we first started talking, Steve, I just got mine 10, 15, 20 minutes before we started recording. Wow. And I haven't had a chance to listen to anything, but I opened it up and I was looking at the booklet. Looks amazing. Mm-hmm. And the quality of the cardboard sleeves and just the box itself, it looks high quality. I've gotten some box sets recently that were more like the ones that you mentioned. Pretty Things 45 box set comes to mind, where it looked like they just Xeroxed the covers. But this is very high quality. The label did a really good job. How involved were you in the process of the booklet itself, the cardstock? Was that something that the label did?
Quite a bit. I didn't get involved in that specifically, to like the paper stock and things like that, which I surprised actually. But I was very involved in the way the CDs would look, and of course the artwork and the booklet I was very involved in. In fact, the booklet is largely my essays on each of the 57 bonus tracks. I wrote kind of little stories about each one, how the song was written, or what I was thinking when I did it, or who I was hanging out with. They're all little mini essays about each of those. So that's the bulk of it. And then we have a lot of the people involved in the project, like Jason and Dave DeCastro and John Agnello and Linda and Pat, and other people all wrote little reminiscing stories as well. So I kind of knew what was going to, and all the photos were from things Linda had on hand from the period, since she was there the whole time. And so these are all, I was aware of what was going to be there, and I was doing all I could possibly do from my end to quality control things, but there were still some things that I couldn't know until I had it in my hands. And, that was exciting. That was great. Like you say, I'm sorry to hear about that Pretty Things box set, but you think, I have been in situations before with labels on different records where we would talk about, well, like one thing I'm always arguing about is I'm always talking to labels about jewel cases versus digipack, or versus digipacks, yeah. And I'm personally, I like digipacks a lot more. I think they're classier. They remind me of albums. They're just, I don't know, I like them more. And I have had many discussions over the years with labels where I'll say, I'd like to do a digipack. And they say, yeah, but they cost 6 cents more per record if you do the digipack. I say, take it out of my royalties. I think I want to do it right, you know, and that's been the case almost all the time. You know, you know, I'm not going to pat myself on the back or whatever, but, you know, I was very inspired. I remember, like, you know, certain cool gestures that my favorite artists have done in the past with fans in mind. The one I think of is Tom Petty staking his entire career on keeping the list price down on, I think it was Hard Promises, I think his fourth album, and not letting MCA jack it up $1 because they knew they could, and he said, no, you can't, I will, you know, take it out of my pay. I was like, I'm not going to have that happen. And that kind of thing struck me. It's like those are the things you do because it's the right thing to do, because people like your music and you want to do right by them, and also because any musician I know is a fan as well, and we all know the feeling of, like, God, I wish they would have done a better job. I wish there would have been, you know, why do the Rolling Stones reissues come out without bonus tracks, which was the case for a while, and they finally stopped doing it that way. But, you know, come on, help me out a little bit here.
Right.
Be
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Well, it looks absolutely fantastic, and definitely I wanted to congratulate you because it looks very high quality. I have absolutely no buyer's remorse. It just looks amazing.
Good.
And
I'm glad to hear that.
I wanted to dive in a little bit on a couple of on the content a little bit. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's paired off where some of the unreleased tracks that are included with the proper albums are from the same time period. For example, Here Come the Miracles is a very, very special record to me. I first found out about it from Linda. Linda and I were in a group together, a Plastic Land group, and we did a trade. I traded her some Plastic Land releases, and she sent me a signed copy of Here Come the Miracles. So that album is very special to me.
I didn't know that. That's news to me. That's great.
So on Decade, both CDs from Here Come the Miracles include some unreleased tracks. I'm very interested to jump into Bitch Pants. It's an unreleased studio outtake. I'm guessing it's from that same time period as Here Come the Miracles.
Same session. Yeah. The thing about Here Come the Miracles is that I think I hate to have to say something is my favorite record, but when push comes to shove, that's kind of my favorite record I've made. I just like that for not just because I like the music, but the process was so exciting, and that was recorded in 10 days in Tucson, Arizona, and that was with me and Linda and Dave DeCastro on bass and Chris Kakavas co-producing and playing keyboards. And we went in with again, that was a case where I just been writing like crazy, so we had a lot of songs to choose from. But we went into the record, and we kind of, everything we attempted worked out. And they were all different. Each one had its own character, and they all felt like well, that we liked that, and that was really cool. And at the end of the day, I remember at the end of that session, actually, the 10th night, 2 a.m, sipping a congratulatory beer in like a little side room off the studio, looking at the list of songs and writing down a sequence just so we'd have something we could put onto, I guess it would have been a CD back then, but something, a way we could sequence it just to listen to it. And I wrote that down. I broke it into 2 records, made a double album, wrote a sequence in 2 minutes, and that became the final sequence. And every song became one we used, and a lot of the rough mixes we used those. It was one of the things. Everything went well. So there were no unreleased tracks from that session. There were not even a little, not a little goof, not a little thing we tried, not a funny cover, except Bitch Pants. And that was the one thing. And I thought that was lost forever. I thought, God. Linda and I would joke about that all the time. And the background on Bitch Pants is so silly, but I can't believe I'm going to tell this story. I think it's in the notes, though, is that I think I was having after a few drinks late in that conversation with Linda, telling her, they make these, oh God, I can't believe what it is. They make these pants for dogs in heat, and they call them Bitch Pants. She said, you're making that up. I said, no, really. And I tell her this, and we always look in pet stores trying to find them. Like, I'm going to find this and show you that this exists. Anyway, I think I was in, the exciting things that get talked about in studios, relaying the same thing. I guess I must have been obsessed with that and talking to my bandmates about it. I can't believe I'm talking about this, but I was talking to the guys about it, and then all of a sudden I said, explaining it, and I started talking about it, and I can't remember what happened. I think I just started singing that or playing a chord. It was the biggest goof, just like one of those things that happened, but it was just funny and fun. And while we were doing it, Chris Kakavas was in a separate, isolated room with his keyboards and his sounds, so it wouldn't bleed into the other sounds. And he was just getting his sounds together for the song that became "Here Come the Miracles," the title track. And so you can hear him he's not even hearing what we're doing. He's sort of making sounds while we're doing that. And just even this, I guess the point I make is even this kind of really ridiculous, puerile, silly, late night, never meant to be heard goof kind of has some cool sound to it as well. Even then, and that was the final, I guess, unholy grail of the whole thing that I was trying to find, like, where is that track? And I think right when we started doing the box set, I found it on some cassette and got that transferred. So that was fun.
I love that kind of stuff.
The one bonus, the one bonus thing from that session, but it's really it just shows how well that session went and how excited we were and how at home we felt in Tucson with Craig Schumacher, who did all the Desert Trilogy records at his studio. How comfortable we were, where just things all flowed so easily.
That is
like I say,
awesome.
I got plenty of horror stories when things didn't work. Plenty of times where it's like you bang your head against the wall and just wish it would work, and then hopefully even in those cases you find a way out of it and a way through the barrier. But I gotta say, especially Here Come the Miracles and a lot of the things in this box set, but that record in particular never happened. You just like, how did we spend 10 days and never hit a brick wall? Oh, if only it could always be like that.
Yeah, that's not realistic, right? But
I think honestly, I can name in my history only 2 other times it's happened. 2 or 3. One would be Days of Wine and Roses, where there was no time for it not to happen. That was so fast. We did that in one night. And another was Gutterball, which wasn't even meant to be a record. It was just us essentially recording quick versions of songs I'd written with Brian Harvey just to get them documented. So that was the same kind of thing. And to some extent, How Did I Find Myself Here, which we spent 5 days, and there was a little bit of fishing around, but even that one was the other session where we just kind of never felt any challenges. It just kind of flowed easily. But that's, 4 records in 4 years where I can say that happened. The rest of the time you got to kind of push and pull and think and examine and wonder and sleep on it and hope it works out.
Wow. So those were definitely some inspired times on those few. And thank you for going into that little story on Bitch Pants, because I know it wasn't meant to be on the...
I was trying to find my way out as I was telling you, like, what am I talking about here?
Well, I appreciate it, because the proper record means a lot to me, and knowing that most of it ended up on the record, other than this fun little thing that you guys did, is very exciting for me as a fan. So I appreciate that little story. So.
Glad to tell it.
Oh my gosh!
It's been a funny year because that is the understatement of the year, of the unfunny year. But it's been last year. Speaking of prolific times, in 2019, a lot of stuff was happening. I think back, I'm sure you guys are the same, and a lot of your listeners do the same, where right now that we're all kind of shut down and not able to do things we want to do, we remember back on concerts we went to, or trips we took, or things we did, or projects we did from before the pandemic, and we think very nostalgically at them and almost can remember the minute detail. It's like, and someone joked, it's almost like, when you're in jail, which I don't know firsthand, but when you're in jail and you remember, the day on a sunny day on the beach or whatever. You remember you had that thought. And last year is that kind of year where a lot went down. And when the year began, right at the start of the year, the Dream Syndicate, we all flew out to Long Beach and did a 2-day session with the band Psychic Temple and recorded 5 songs with the leader of that band, Chris Schlarb, that came out last week as his new double album, Houses of the Holy. And the same year we did These Times came out, and we toured a lot for that. And the Baseball Project did a handful of things. And also I recorded and put together my solo acoustic record that I wanted to sell on tour this year. I made that in Texas. And then in the second half of the year, I started going through all the material that became The Universe Inside and started working on that and went into the studio and finished that. So, I mean, it was kind of and at the same time, Pat and I kept plugging away on this box set. So it was sort of a year of a lot of touring, a lot of collaborations, a lot of one-off shows, a lot of longer jaunts, and a lot of projects all happening that ended up being a very fortunate thing because it gave me a lot to work with this year. Well, I've been homebound, which I haven't. I mean, I played 2 shows this year, and I haven't played that few shows since I was 21. This is like in a year when we've all, everybody's, my situation is very fortunate in lots of ways, but not being on the road is a bummer. So fortunately, I've had these things to work on, and these things that kind of kept me going. And this is the end. This is the end of the realization of previous projects. So this is giving it all I got. But the thing is, I think I say that, and I already, I think that we don't know what's going to happen next year. I mean, it's going to be hopefully some very good things happening in November 3rd, which we've all got ideas of what that would look like, and also a cure and some type of struggling and working our way back to the life some version of the life we all loved and enjoyed. Hopefully similar, maybe better in some ways, maybe different, maybe adjusting, maybe a path forward. But I'm hoping in 2021 that there's new music to be made, new ways to play music and get out to people. But this year has been the year where just to focus, just to focus on musicians. It's been the year where everyone's had to figure out, what am I going to do? And I guess I'm saying all that just to say, yeah, I'm lucky that I had this in the works the whole time.
I mean, it's interesting that you say that because one of the things that we also noted was that you've got planned 2 Stage It shows in promotion of Decade. And so I just want to backtrack a little. Yeah, this has been a extraordinary year. Extraordinary in that it's really been beyond what anyone had thought of. And then when these live shows on Fridays that you were giving, the medicine shows, it was giving us just this kind of something to hold on to. And then, you've had other projects, other things, Psychic Temple came out last week, and then Decade, and now you're giving us the opportunity to see, 2 shows on Stage It. And I know it's a rethinking of a live show, but can you tell us why Stage It?
Yeah, a lot of people are asking. I mean, I'd say one of my favorite things this year, and among the other things, besides having the project to work on, with doing those weekly shows for 10 weeks in a row. Linda and I doing our shows at home, and the one time up in Vermont. Mm-hmm. Those were, I think, I get the impression they were fun for people who watched them, and they were fun for us too, just to be, And I'll say the funny thing is we've done those. We did the 10 for Facebook. We did maybe 5 for various Italian websites and portals who were doing things like that. And when we started doing them at the very beginning, I was so nervous. I was like, how do you do this? Not just nervous about playing, but all this. Let's face it, there's so much technical stuff involved. You got to know how to start this and press that and start. It's a learning curve. Mm-hmm. And on top of it, the weirdness of doing something very familiar to us, playing live music, playing songs, but looking at an iPad screen and just, and pretending like you're performing, and knowing that while you're doing that, maybe 1,000 people are enjoying it, but all you're seeing is your iPad. And that at first that was disconcerting, and by the fourth or fifth week of doing those Facebook ones, it became as much second nature as playing any other show, and that was a good thing to learn. After doing the Facebook ones, we said, okay, 10 weeks in a row, let's take a break. We're kind of Linda stayed up in Vermont for a few weeks with doing some family things up there. It was a natural time to stop, and we're going to do those again. But in the meantime, I'd been talking to this company called Noon Chorus and also to Stage It, who both wanted to do shows. So I'm kind of trying them out. And I'll be honest, I know some people have said, well, we are enjoying it and we want to support this, but it was easier when it was on Facebook. And I understand that. And I'm just kind of trying these things out now. We'll see what happens. One way or the other, I shouldn't be downplaying the one that's coming up because they're going to be really fun. And doing the 2-in-1 day is going to be kind of a cool thing. And we're going to do them in different. We're going to do one at home and one at a rehearsal place later in the evening, and we're going to make different sets and kind of going to really get creative with it. But after that one's done, then I'll see whichever one was the most fun for us, the most fun for the audience, and then sometime later in the year or early next year we'll pick up with whichever one makes the most sense. Because these things for me are just ways to, I've lived a whole life of traveling and playing music and not just, I've never been the type, as you know, I go on stage and I got the limo waiting out in the back and I jump off and take off. I like hanging out with people. And this kind of keeps that going in a way. So, yeah, the stage thing should be fun, but whatever comes after that will be whatever works the best.
Okay.
I think I did a really bad job on selling that show.
No. Trust me,
it's gonna be a lot of fun.
The shows sell themselves because you're right. What you gave us was a chance to live in a different way, in a different incarnation, a live music experience, which we're all really jonesing for. We want that. And so having that ability was perfect. And that's why these Stage It shows, I think, are going to be so important because also you're giving us new stuff.
Right. Yeah. Hopefully we're going to try to get some new stuff done. Also, I want to point out that the Stage It shows are pay what you want. So it's like, they have like a pay thing there and you can do what you want, but you can also watch for free if you want. So I do feel, very conscious. I want just people to be able to see it. And for, right. I wouldn't want to exclude somebody because they can't do it. I think part of the thing with Facebook, and I'll be honest here, is that Facebook is a lot of things. Facebook is a place for ranting and raving, political discourse, and menus, and cooking, and family pictures, and memorials, and so many things going there. And I felt like, well, I don't want the live music thing to be just part of the noise. Now, that's neither here nor there, because whatever it is, however you experience it, however you enjoy it, is the right way. I've always felt that way. It's like, if you whatever you're, as long as you're getting something from it, that's great. Mm-hmm. But I feel like, well, it'd be nice to do something that feels more like a concert, And I think the Stage It thing and Noon Chorus were more like a club. They're essentially virtual clubs where, they have nothing but shows. And you look at their show listing and say, oh, look who's coming up. Yo La Tengo's playing next week. I'll go see that. So I want to be part of that environment, but I also appreciate that Facebook makes it so easy for people to see it, and that's a good thing too.
That's yes, fair. Yeah.
So it'll be a lot of everything. Look, until this thing, and I'm not going to be playing music in a club until there's a vaccine. I mean, I'd love to. I'd miss playing, but it's just not worth it. And besides not wanting to get sick, I don't want to endanger my audience at all in any way. I don't want to even think for a second that my show is responsible for someone getting sick. So I'm not going to be doing it until then. And I want to keep playing shows in the meantime. So this is the way to do it. So knowing that probably things won't be much different for a little while, you can definitely count on more of these happening. Later this year.
Okay. Down with
They're fun. They're actually a lot of fun. I gotta say, it's like and I'm very, it's great having that I can, in so many ways, but having an amazing drummer in the same apartment is fantastic, And we've had a lot of fun with this because actually, that thing bring it back to the Decade box is that Linda is the drummer on all but one of the records. We started playing together. She started playing with me on the tour for Melting in the Dark. The second, I went on one tour after it came out with the members of Come, with Chris and Talia, and actually with Dennis Duck on drums. And we did a tour, but then they all had other things to do, and I put together a new band, and that was with Linda. And from that point on, she's on every record. And she's like the main presence on this box set besides me. But in the last handful of years, with the Dream Syndicate thing happening, and she started playing, pretty much, she's become the main number one drummer for anything Peter Buck does, and which means, and with Peter being the most prolific guy on the planet, she's been kept busy with Arthur Buck, with Filthy Friends, with the -5, with Peter's solo tours. I think I'm missing a few of it, and not to mention the baseball project. She's been there for anything Peter and Scott do. And so she's been doing her thing, I'm doing my thing, and we kind of stopped playing together. We hadn't done a record together or a tour together in a long time. So this kind of doing these medicine shows together, it's like we've had a great time playing music together. We hadn't done that in a while.
Well, I'll just say from a fan's point of view, just watching the two of you play music together, it's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
You guys look like you're having a lot of fun. And it's really fun to see.
Yeah.
They're so funny because I'm glad you're enjoying it. We have a great time, and the weird thing, this is one way it's so different from a real show, is that moment, when it's over. You've played for an hour, you told the stories, told jokes, goofed off. She's shaking kitchen appliances and things like that, and then you go up and you press the red button to stop the video, and then all of a sudden it's 5 o'clock and we're in our living room. That's so surreal. It's like we just played a show, and we're not going to open a beer or grab a snack and sit on the couch. It's one of many in a surreal year. That's one little surreal thing. But always when the show is over, I'm used to finishing a set on stage and going backstage and and wiping off the sweat and and going, whoa, catch my breath and go talk to some friends out in the audience. Here, all of a sudden, you're in a very quiet apartment all of a sudden, and the show's over. Like, well, I guess I'll put the amp in the closet and pack up the guitar and turn it back into an apartment again.
Well, what was always fun was you start strumming and saying, well, let's hope the neighbors don't complain about the noise. Or my favorite one time Jeff and I watched the show, and afterwards we touched base. I said, "Do you see what Linda said? She said the teaspoons weren't good, that soup spoons were better to make the sound that she wanted to make." So it was just fun to see how you improvised on the spot, but also you gave us this little glimpse of, hey, they're living our reality too, where they're at home and getting things done and still sharing, which is great.
That's the living room. That's where we hang out.
So just a reminder for our listeners, the two Stage It shows at two different times are going to be on October the 23rd, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, and 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And for those of you in Europe, add your time because I'm bad at math. So
right, GMT plus whatever.
There you go.
And the reason we're doing 2 in one day is because one thing, for better or for worse, Stage's philosophy is they don't archive anything and they don't keep anything up. They're feeling they're a really cool site. They've done a lot of people I know. My friend Rhett Miller, who's in the old 97s, is on there regularly, and he turned me on to them. And their thing is like, we're like a show, and when the show's over, it's over. So that's cool. But it's challenging because people have lives and time zones, and fortunately, but a challenge as well, I have fans across 9 time zones. Right. So that's why we're doing the 2 shows. So if you're, when we do the 4 in the afternoon, 1 o'clock on the West Coast, people might be at work, but Europeans are settling into the peak of their evening, and conversely, at 9 o'clock, hopefully that works. So hopefully, somebody wrote to me today from the UK saying, "Oh, none of these times work for me." And I was sad to hear that because I thought we kind of covered it pretty well. But again, hopefully, we can catch one. We're going to make the 2 shows completely different, with different locations, different songs, different instrumentation. Just The plan right now is the home one. Well, by necessity, to be a little more of a quiet kind of like the stuff we've been doing here. But I think in the evening one, we're going to full out rock out. It's going to be like,
man. See?
full drum kit and guitar amps going. What's that? I lost you there for a second.
So that was me that got lost. Sorry. No,
Yeah.
Jeff and I are in hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
For both shows. We'll be
great,
there.
great. It'll be fun.
I love that you're calling it the decade doubleheader, because the doubleheader to me reminds me of Baseball Project, right? So when I hear doubleheader, so I love that you're calling it that. So the official release date is October 23rd for Decade. Mm-hmm. Some of us are fortunate to get the pre-order. What's the best way for our listeners to get it? Should they go to Real Gone Music? Should they go to stevewynn.net? Or should they put in for our contest and win it?
They should number one put it in for your contest and win it, because we're here right now on your show, and I love that you're doing that. So that's a great way of doing it. But otherwise, it's great if you go to my website, because if you go to my website, it's autographed and personalized. So that's if you have something you want to have done, you get that's a nice thing to have. Of course, I want people to have it any way they want. Go to your favorite local record store. You have to go to your support record stores who are having a hard time right now, and hopefully most of them will be carrying it. But if you ask me, I'm biased, and I'll say, go to my website.
SteveWynn.net for those of you looking for a pen and paper.
If it's all about the music, any way you want to get it is the right way.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh.
All right, so we have one copy that we want to give to one of our listeners to celebrate our 100th episode. Thank you, Soraya, for this box set that we're giving away here. But, Steve, we wanted you to help us out in picking a listener. And we're not going to put the pressure on you to pick a single person. So we're just going to have you pick a number. And we were thinking a number between 1 and 10. And then we'll go from there and give a lucky listener a copy of Steve Wynn's new box set, Decade.
Yep.
So what we ask of you is to pick a number between 1 and 10, and then a lucky listener will get a copy.
So you want me to tell you right now? You want me to actually say the number?
Yeah.
Yes.
I will go with 3 for the Miracle 3.
Beautiful.
Excellent. And we will send out an announcement to the winner of our contest, and the lucky number will be 3 for the Miracle 3. Steve didn't have any numbers of who they were assigned to, so he's not picking anybody in particular. So, but
okay, good. Yeah, there's no fix. It's not a scandal. Nothing going on here.
No. This is all on the up and up. But number 3 is a good number, and there you go, okay. Miracle 3. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
All right, Steve. Well, we'll be in the audience on these 2 staged performances. The 1 o'clock for us on October 3rd. 1 o'clock p.m. for Pacific Standard Time for us, or Pacific Daylight Time still, right? Because we switch over on November 1st, whatever. And then later in the evening, it sounds like we're gonna hear a rocking set. So.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
So
we'll be having fun. I'm glad you'll be there. That's great, and I'm so happy to be your 100th show. That's wonderful.
Thank you so much. We couldn't be happier. The best way to celebrate.
Huge congratulations! I tell you all the time. Thanks for letting people know about this music that we all started in tiny clubs back in 1982 and sort of took on a life of its own. It's been great.
Well, we've really enjoyed it, and we are anxious to get into the Decade box set. And okay, I have to ask the question, right? I have to. If this is this decade, 95 to 2005. Is there another box of tapes that takes place after 2006?
There are, and before that period as well, but not that kind of volume. Not that there's no period where there's so much stuff. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff we didn't use from this decade, and it's not going to happen. But we could easily have several more discs of stuff from this period. After that, not quite as much. I mean, one thing I'll say is that. And I kind of joke about this besides other things, this box set is sort of the story of my home recording life, because I've always been kind of a home recording nut, even before the Dream Syndicate. But before the Dream Syndicate, I had a reel in my basement, where I was living, and through that I went to 4-track cassette machines, to thing called ADAT, which is an 8-track digital machine, to a hard disk recorder, to eventually GarageBand, to eventually Logic. So I've kind of, I've got a pathway. I've always been into making demos at home. And during the period of this decade thing, I was really, really, really doing, as much inspired by songwriting, I was also inspired by learning how to do that stuff. So the excitement over the home recording kind of fueled songwriting at the same time. So that's why there's so much then. And since then, there's a lot, but not the same, not quite that amount.
Okay.
This is a unique kind of thing. This is just like that's just a unique period.
Well, even more reason for people to make sure that they have this, because this is really an amazing project, and from idea to curation to production. October 23rd, the box set is officially released, but as Steve mentioned, you can go to stevewynn.net and order it and get yourself a personalized autographed copy, which Jeff and I have taken advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah.
Yes.
And on the same day, make sure you get to see these live shows available at 2 separate times on October the 23rd, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, and 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern.
That's a doubleheader.
What's going
my
on?
Gosh. We've said it before. Steve Wynn is one of the hardest working men in show business. They used to say that about James Brown, but I think we can say it pretty effectively about Steve Wynn.
It doesn't feel like work. It's just what I enjoy doing. So that's it's no problem. There'll be a lot more to come, and this is just what I like doing this. I like the people, and I'm grateful that people enjoy it. And there'll be a lot more down the road. Next year's going to be a lot of new music, I'm sure. And but for now, there's this, and I hope. And in the needless to say, everyone should know this, but in the middle of seeing the stages show and checking the box set and listening to your show and all those things, I hope all your listeners will vote, get out there, and don't forget that you'll be talking about that a lot during the shows as well. That this is the time. Do it soon.
Yes, my ballots just arrived today with my decade box set, and that's no lie.
Great.
my California
Good combo.
my California vote. So
There you go.
all right, Steve, we wanted to thank you so much for celebrating our 100th episode with us and celebrating Steve Wynn with this new box set that looks absolutely amazing. And as Soraya said, I just can't wait to dig in. Thank you so much for doing this, and we'll see you on Stage It.
See you on Stage It, and you are, by the way, you were still the people I saw at the last show I played, so hopefully I'll see you at another one soon as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'd love that. We'd love that.
Awesome.
All right.
Take care of yourself. Be well.
Yes.
You take care too and be well.
Yep. Stay safe.
Okay. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye, Steve.
Bye.
All right, Soraya. What did you think about celebrating our 100th episode with Steve Wynn, talking about this box set decade?
I like it. I like it. I mean, I don't think there's a better way to close out 100 episodes than with Steve Wynn talking about decade.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it totally fits our scope. And looking back at some great music, and this really does look fantastic. I mean, this is top notch. This box set. The booklet looks amazing. The quality looks amazing. It's totally worth the price. That's for sure. The price of admission, well worth it.
What I find incredible is that it took him and Pat 2 days. It took him and Pat Thomas 2 days to go through, I mean, an incredible amount of material.
Yeah.
And say yay or nay. And the fact that Steve said at the end, there's a lot we didn't use, blowing my mind.
Yes.
Because I'm already just kind of tripping at the fact that there's 88 unreleased tracks in this set.
Yeah.
And who knows how much else is just kind of hanging back in his own personal archive, his home recording archive.
Yep. And we're planning to have Pat on very shortly, within the next couple weeks, in fact. So I'm really curious to hear how that goes from Pat's vantage point. Shacked up with Steve Wynn in this hotel room, right? In it was San Fernando Valley, right? Is that where?
Yeah,
Yeah.
in Studio City at the Sportsman's Lodge,
Yeah.
which, I mean, he said Pat would walk in at 10 and they just start going. I mean, it's amazing when you think about it. I mean, for any artist to go back through their own production and then say, I want to put together a collection of a particular time where I saw this, and this happen as an artist. And I want to share that with music fans. That's incredible. And then, but just over the course of 2 years to go through that much material, put it together, find someone, who would go through it and share the vision and put it out.
Yep.
And it could not have been a better time to give us something like this.
I agree.
I mean, I think we're all just kind of, we're all looking forward, right? To a different time, to different things. And I think we're all looking for, please give us something new.
Yes.
There's only so much sourdough bread a sister can bake, but like new music and shows, and look at what he's given us. He's given us a box set, and he's given us a couple of opportunities to see him play live with Linda. And I am super duper curious about who else is going to be in that rehearsal space for that 6 p.m. show on Stage It.
Yes, yeah.
I'm here for all of it.
Me too. And I do like how Steve mentioned that Stage It does it where it's a personal experience. So it's unfortunate that if you're not available at that time, that you can't watch it later, that it's not archived. But there's something special about being at a performance, even in this unfortunate times where it has to be virtually, where
Right.
you're experiencing that live with the artist, and then that experience is no longer available, but that experience is there to remember. I think that's something special. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad that he's doing it this way, and see how it goes.
And for the times that we're living in, that's as live as you can get, to mimic the experience of being in a live show. And you and I have talked about this a lot, and anyone who follows Jeff on YouTube knows he's got a lot of video from a lot of shows that he's gone to. But a couple of years ago, I stopped recording because I was detaching myself from that live experience, from that moment.
Right.
Now, I go through your channel, I go through other people's channels, I'm like, I just need to see a live show, even if it's a video. But you're right. To live that experience in the moment, in real time, it's really something special. This is the way we're doing it.
Yep. I'm looking forward to it.
Sorry if I got cut off there.
No, I got you.
I blame the neighborhood kids trying to get their schooling in my neighborhood. But
right.
And then just last reminder, official release date is October the 23rd. Stage It show also October the 23rd at 1 p.m. Pacific and 6 p.m. Pacific. And again, Steve mentioned, if you want to order Decade, go to your local record store, or you can order it from his online store, stevewynn.net. But also you can order it from Real Gone Records as well.
Yeah, so that's shop.realgonemusic.com, and they also have it available. I like going directly to the artist, so stevewynn.net is what I would recommend, but you have several outlets, even more than what we mentioned, of course. But
right.
Do yourself a favor and go order this. And
incredible.
And hopefully, after our little outro music, you will be hearing the winner of the box set that we're giving away. Thank you, Soraya, for that. So,
and just a little extra added beautiful detail. This is signed, but not personalized. So you're really getting something special. You're getting the box set. Yes, it's out of the wrapper because it is signed.
It is signed by Steve. Not by us.
but it's not personalized, but it is signed.
But it is
Steve
signed.
Wynn.
Yes.
So,
So you're getting
anyways.
a signed box set, and you might even get a Paisley Stage bump sticker or a button or something too in that package too. So
two very valuable things in that package.
Yes.
All right. So, anyways, mi gente, agruiar.
Groove on, Paisley people. Okay, so it's Thursday night, 8 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. We're ready to pick a winner.
Let's do it. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Okay, so let me share my screen. That way you see that all the names are there. Okay, so you see that there are all these lovely people. We had 14 entrants. And let me just say a huge thank you to those of you who entered. David Martinez, Dominic Dragotto, Hassan Alamdari, Dean Micheli, Patrick Rose, Bradley Scott, Steve Crabtree, Dave Swanson, Tim Pendergast, Ricky Soltero, Robin Summerfield, John Simandiras, Jens Jakob Sorensen, and Jim Strong.
All right, good luck, everybody.
And we had international entries. One guy's in Greece, one guy's in Germany.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, man. It's pretty dope. All right. So, Jeff, 14 names. They're in the randomizer. We're going to let the randomizer pick Steve's number, which is?
Steve picked number 3.
Boom. All right. Tell me when to go.
All right. And the reason why he picked number 3 was the Miracle 3, right?
The Miracle 3.
So Steve is the one who's picking what the winner number is. So we're going to randomize it, and whoever falls in spot number 3 is our winner.
Is our winner.
I say
we ship internationally.
Yes, we do. We didn't make any distinctions. So.
Nope. All right. And just in case people are wondering, they are in the order of the receipt of the submission.
Perfect.
All right.
All right. I'm going to count down from 3.
Okay.
All right. 3, 2, 1. It's randomizing. And our winner is?
Robin Summerfield.
Congratulations, Robin.
Woo!
You are the winner of a signed Steve Wynn 11 CD box set.
That is pretty amazing. And Jeff, hats off to you for our 100th episode and a pretty amazing giveaway.
Woohoo. Agreed. Thank you for being an awesome co-host and running this show.
No, that's all you. You just let me hang on to your coattails, so I appreciate that. But folks, everyone who entered, thank you. And to all our listeners, thank you so much for making 100 episodes seem like nothing at all.
Yes.
And we're looking forward to numbers 101 to 200.
Yes, we are.
All right. So, bueno gente, agruiar.
Groove on, Paisley people.
How's that one going?
1, 2, 3. Please dance. 1, 2, 3. Come on, bring me in. Can I take it to the pants? Can I take it to the pants? Can I get to the pants? 1, 2, 3. These pants. These pants. These pants. These pants. You gotta wear them. And don't be scared by them. These pants. These pants. I gotta wear them. I ain't scared about them. These pants. These pants. track. It's bad.
There's your leave off track.